Hello everyone. So today we will check out the solutions of biology for class 6 half yearly examination. Let us take up section A first. Leaves modified to trap insects are found in bladderwort. Vegetative propagation, let me just expand it a little bit so that you can see it even more clearly. Yes. The vegetative propagation by leaves is found in Bryophyllum. The process by which the absorbed food is utilized by the body in humans is called as assimilations. Many of you wrote absorption, which is wrong. It already says absorbed food. Absorbed food is utilized by the body in the form of assimilation. The plastid that contains chlorophyll is chloroplast. Many of you wrote chromoplast. No, chloroplast contains chlorophyll. The outermost covering of the animal cell is the cell membrane, not the cell wall. The cell wall is the outermost covering of the plant cell. The inner lining of the stomach contains gastric glands. These glands which secrete the gastric juices. Which part of the large intestine helps in absorption of water and formation of feces? It is colon, not cecum or rectum or none of the above. The part of the pistil that receives the pollen grain is stigma. The pollen grain comes and falls on stigma. The type of pollination in Vallisneria is water pollination. The single cell formed after fertilization is called as zygote. So that was that for the MCQs. And now let us come to the fill in the blanks. The dash bears the whorls of the flower. Over here you are supposed to write the thalamus. The thalamus bears the whorls of flower. And remember, in fill in the blanks, we told you that if you are getting the spelling incorrect, you are getting a 0. You are not getting any marks. If there is even a single letter error in your spelling, you will get a 0. The leaf without a petiole are called as sessile leaves. Now over here, the spelling here is M-U-S, right? Because I'm using this pen. So at times it becomes a little bit difficult for me to check this. So I'll write the spelling clearly over here. Once again, the spelling is thalamus. The leaf without petiole are called sessile. Dash are thread-like structures inside the nucleus. Now you can write chromatin, or even if you have written chromosomes, I have given you marks. Okay. Dash is the common passage for food and air. It is pharynx. F-P-H-A-R-Y-N-X. Pharynx. The roof of the mouth cavity is called as a palate, not a plate. Many of you wrote plate, or I do not know what spellings you wrote. But if this is not the spelling, then you get a 0. You don't get any marks in that. Arrangement of veins and veinlets on the lamina of the leaf is called as venation. The spelling is V-A-N. Many of you wrote V-E-I-N. No, the spelling is incorrect. And if the spelling is correct, you know that you will get a 0. The part of the embryo that gives rise to the root system is radicle. The spelling here is C-L-E. Many of you wrote C-A-L, which is the chemical radical. That is the radical for chemistry, not for biology. This is the correct spelling. The cell organelle which is present only in animal cell. If you have written centrosome, it is absolutely correct. If someone has written centriole, then also I have given them marks. Sharp and pointed teeth that help in tearing of food are canines. The spelling should be correct. Canine or canine? C-A-N-I-N-E-S. Modification of leaves into thin thread-like coiled structures are tendrils. The spellings, you remember, these are one word answers and 1 mark answers. If the spelling is incorrect, you get a 0. Sepals are the male part of a flower. It would be stamen, or you can write androzoa. Androecium. The spelling must be right. The cell wall is made up of lipoprotein. You could write carbohydrate, or even if you have written cellulose, I have given you marks. For both of them, the marks are correct. A leaf arises from the leaf base. No, many of you have written that leaf arises from a petiole. No, it is absolutely wrong. The leaf arises from a node, or if someone has written stem, I have given them marks. The last premolar is called as the wisdom tooth. No, the last molar is called as the wisdom tooth. Micropyle is the point. Many of you wrote endocarp. No, it is not the point at which the seed is attached to the fruit wall. The point is hilum. H-I-L-U-M. So you need to get the spellings correct. Neem. Neem has compound leaves. 1. Tegmen. Tegmen is the inner covering of the seed. Tongue. Tongue helps to mix the food with saliva. Amoeba. Amoeba is a unicellular organism, and grasses have fibrous root. This was extra. This reticulate venation, or I think heart shaped, or whatever was there. That was these are the correct matches, so you cannot use anything else. Now let us come to the next part, which is define the following terms. Transpiration. Now transpiration is the process by which plants lose excess water in form of water vapors. So you have to mention it clearly, what is the process of transpiration. Now cross-pollination, many of you wrote the answer, but you wrote it half. There you said it is the transfer of pollen. Just a minute. Let me get the eraser over here. It is the transfer. What are the things that you need to remember? It's transfer of pollens to a flower of same kind on another plant. If it is on the same plant, then it is self-pollination, not cross-pollination. So transfer of pollens to a flower of same kind. The flower must be of the same kind, but it must be on another plant. That is what you need to mention in cross-pollination. Now digestion. Many of you have written it is the process of digesting our food. Arey wahi to pucha hai, what is digestion? You cannot write it is digestion of food. You have to write it is the breakdown of food into simpler forms. That is what the digestion is. Some of you have also written with the help of enzymes or digestive juices. That is absolutely correct. Some have written it is breaking of food or converting of food into simple forms or smaller forms with the use of digestive juices. I have given you the marks over there. Cytoplasm. Now, cytoplasm is a jelly-like substance. Many of you have written just a jelly-like substance, but there are many jelly-like substances. What is it that the cytoplasm is particularly? So cyto means cell, so jelly-like substance present in the cell. That is what you should have mentioned. If it is not there, it has no meaning. That the jelly-like substance could also be the jelly which you like to eat. So there is edible jelly as well. So if you simply write cytoplasm is a jelly-like substance, it makes no meaning. Complete flower. Complete flower, you have to write all the 4 whorls are present. That is when it becomes a complete flower. Some of you have written both androecium and gynoecium are present. I have given you marks there as well. Differentiate between each of the following. Ingestion and egestion. Now ingestion is taking in of food through mouth, and egestion is removal or elimination of waste from anus. Removal of what waste? Undigested waste. So whatever food is left undigested, it is being removed from anus. That is called as egestion. Anything else is wrong. Calyx and corolla. Some have written calyx is the outermost whorl, corolla is the second inner whorl or something like that. But remember, you have to differentiate them based on function. So if the calyx and corolla difference is not based on function, then you do not get any marks. And remember, when you are writing, you cannot say, Miss, I wrote this part correct, only this part is wrong. No. Both the parts must be correct to show the difference clearly. If one part is correct and other part is wrong, you get 0 because it does not show the difference. Calyx and corolla function. Calyx performs photosynthesis, whereas corolla attracts insect. I have given them marks. If someone has written calyx protects the flower in its bud stage, corolla protects the reproductive parts, then also I have given them marks because they represent the function. Temporary teeth and permanent teeth. Many of you have written it. They come at this age, they come at that age. That is not required. Number in each jaw you have to mention. So if you have written 20 and 32, that is wrong. You had to mention temporary teeth are 10 in each jaw and permanent teeth are 16 in each jaw. Only that answer is correct. If you have written both of them, then only you will get marks. Otherwise, you will get a 0. Epigeal and hypogeal germination. 2 examples of each. So over here you have to write 2 examples. Where does epigeal germination take place? Where does hypogeal germination take place? Or I think it was changed in this paper. It was written 2 examples. What we are writing is two examples of each was there, or if it was position of the cotyledon. If it is was the I don't think it was the same answer, position of the cotyledon, then in epigeal germination it remains outside. In hypogeal germination it remains inside. If it is 2 examples of each, then you mention the 2 examples. In which plants does epigeal germination take place and in which plant the hypogeal germination takes place. Chromoplast and leucoplast. Chromoplast are the plastids that give color, right? So they give color to the plant, and leucoplast are the plastids that are colorless plastids. So some of you have written leucoplast store food. They do not actually store food, but they are present in the area where food is present. So if you have written they store food, I have given you marks for that. Define phyllotaxy. Phyllotaxy is the arrangement of leaves on the stem. That is how you define phyllotaxy. Differentiate between alternate phyllotaxy and opposite phyllotaxy. Now many of you have written in alternate phyllotaxy the leaves are alternate, in opposite phyllotaxy the leaves are opposite. No, that will get you a 0 because it is already mentioned over here that you have to distinguish between what is alternate and what is opposite. So what you have to write is that on each node in alternate phyllotaxy, one leaf is present, whereas in another in opposite phyllotaxy on each node 2 leaves are present. If you have written this, then only you will get marks, otherwise you will get a 0. Draw a neat and labeled diagram showing parts of leaf. Now all that you needed to do over there was pick up a diagram like this. Draw a diagram simply like this, where it is showing the apex, the midrib, vein, margin, base, petiole and leaf plate. That's all. If you have drawn this type of a figure, then you will get full marks on that. Otherwise, if parts are missing, accordingly the marks will be deducted. Carefully observe the diagram given below and answer the questions. Okay, so when you look at this, you can see that light energy is being received, water is being received, some other gases are going in. So this identify the process shown in the diagram given below. Let me just put it down over here. So when you look at this, the process which is happening is photosynthesis. You have to get the spelling correct. If you get the spelling wrong, then you don't get any marks. Define the process shown in the above diagram. You have to say it is the process of making food by the plants. It is the process by which the plants make their food with the help of carbon dioxide, water and light energy or sunlight. That is all you have to write in the definition of photosynthesis. It is all shown over here. The plants making food in presence of sunlight and carbon dioxide and water. That is the definition of photosynthesis. Then name the gas used up and released during the process. Many of you have written only one gas. No, the gas which is used up is carbon dioxide and the gas which is released is oxygen. So you have to mention both of them. What is the role of chlorophyll in the above process? Now the role of chlorophyll in the above process is that it traps sunlight. Now you cannot write chlorophyll gives green color to the leaves. It is asking about what is its role in the above process. You cannot say it gives green color. The process does not involve the green color. It traps the sunlight. Name the tiny openings present on the surface of the leaves. They are called as stomata. Also, please remember that you have to use the correct spellings at all times and state its function. So, functions you can say that it helps, any of the functions you can mention. It helps in exchange of gases. You can write it helps in transpiration. It helps in oxygen going in and carbon dioxide coming out, or carbon dioxide going in and oxygen coming out, because it is related to this process. So in its function you can write exchange of gases. Okay, so that will be the correct answer. Now carefully observe the diagram given below and answer the questions that follow. Over here, label the parts A to D. That means you have to label all the parts A, B, C, D. Many have labeled only A and D. It says A to D. What does it mean? This part to this part, A, B, C, D. Now for A, if you have called it as pedicel, then also I have given you marks. If you have marked it as thalamus, then also I have given you marks. Okay. Then B is the sepal, C is the petal, and D is the ovary, not the ovule. Many of you have written it as ovule. What changes occur in part labeled as D? It changes to fruit. So the ovary changes to fruit. State the function of the part labeled as A. So if you have written it as pedicel and if you have written it is the flower stalk and it holds the flower, I have given you marks. If you have written it as the thalamus, it holds all the floral whorls, then also I have given you marks. Give two differences between insect pollinated and wind pollinated flowers. It was for 1 mark. So even if you have written one correct difference, I have given you mark. Now many have written insect pollinated flowers are pollinated by insect, wind pollinated flowers are pollinated by wind. Absolutely wrong, because this is what is given over here. It is already mentioned in the question. So what you are supposed to write over here? Here the stigma is sticky, the stigma is feathery. Over here you write they have sticky pollen grains and they have light pollen grains. These are the points that you mention when you are mentioning the difference between insect pollinated flowers and wind pollinated flowers. If you write they are pollinated by insects, they are pollinated by winds, you get a 0. It does not make any sense to give that as a difference. Now draw a neat and labeled diagram showing the parts of fruit. All you needed to do was draw this diagram where epicarp, endocarp and mesocarp. Only these 3 you needed to mention, nothing else other than that. Differentiate between true fruit and false fruit. A true fruit arises from ovary, whereas a false fruit arises from any other part of the flower, but not the ovary. Give 2 examples of dry fruits. We have written all types of dry fruits. Okay, if they categorize as a dry fruit, I have given you marks for that. State one function of fruit. The main function of the fruit is to protect the seeds. So they protect the seeds within them so that they can disperse later on and germinate to form new plants. But if someone has written the fruits are nutritious and they make us healthy, then also I have given you marks, because that is also a proper answer as such. Now the next question that we had was, where did that part go? Okay, this part. Let me move this up then over here. The next question was find the this one. The diagram below is that of a cell organelle. Study it carefully and answer the question. Identify the cell organelle. It is a nucleus. Label the parts A to D. Again, you had to label A, B, C and D. A was nuclear membrane. You can see it clearly over here. B is nucleoplasm. It is the fluid present inside the nucleus. C is the chromosome, or even if someone has written chromatin fibers, I have given you marks. D is the nucleolus. Those are the parts that you have to mention. If you have written these with the correct spelling, you will get full marks. Name the structure formed by the part labeled as C during cell division. So this chromosome or the chromatin fibers, during cell division, they organize themselves into chromosome. They should actually be mentioned as chromatin fibers, but even if you have written it as chromosome, I have given you marks. They form into chromosome. Yes, absolutely correct. But many have written they form daughter cells. No. State 2 functions of the cell organelle shown in the above diagram. We know that the nucleus is the control center of the cell, and also it helps in the cell division. So those 2 functions you can mention. Choose the odd one out and give reasons to support your answer. Many have written cell wall and they have said rest of them belong to animal cell. No, only centrosome is the correct answer. Centrosome, it belongs to animals, whereas rest of them belong to the plant cell. Now if someone has written cell wall and they have written, because it is not a cell organ, rest of them are present inside the cell, I have also given them marks. The reasoning should be clear. The correct answer is centrosome, but if you have given the reason that I choose cell wall because rest of them are inside the cell, and of course the cell wall is not inside the cell, so then also I have given you the marks. Now for the next question, it is amoeba, yeast, birds and paramecium. So birds, of course, because they are multicellular, you have written birds because rest of them are cells. Birds are also made up of cells. Birds are multicellular, whereas the rest of them are unicellular. That is why we choose birds. Cell membrane is a selectively permeable membrane. Give reason. It is a selectively permeable membrane because it allows only selective substances to pass through them. That is why it is a selective membrane. Pass through them, or it allows entry to only a few selective substances. State the function of ribosomes. Ribosomes help us in protein synthesis. That is the function of ribosomes. Define peristalsis. Now, peristalsis is the rhythmic movement in stomach or in esophagus that allows the food to move forward, or you can write it is a rhythmic movement which has contraction and expansion of muscles, right? So either of these if you have written, that makes sense, so I have given you marks. State the function of villi. Villi increase the surface area for absorption of food. Esophagus. Esophagus is the food pipe that connects the mouth to the stomach, or it helps the food to move from the mouth to the stomach. Name the parts of the small intestine. Duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. If your spellings are correct, you will get full marks, otherwise not. Name the secretion of the gastric glands. They secrete hydrochloric acid and some enzymes. So if you have written enzymes, or if you have just written hydrochloric acids, I have given you marks. Either of them if you have written, I have given you the marks. Now, the diagram given below shows the type of teeth in humans. Observe the diagram and label the parts numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. So first one is incisors. Get your spelling correct. Second one is canines. Third one is premolars. And the fourth one is molars. I think you got a different diagram, but it is very similar to the markings are very similar based on the location of the various types of tooth. Name the hardest substance in the human body. It is not teeth, it is enamel. The full teeth, the entire teeth is not very hard. Just the enamel part is the hardest. Which part of the tooth is supplied with nerves and blood vessels? It is the pulp cavity which is supplied by the nerves and best vessel. Which teeth are best for grinding food? You have to write both premolars and molars here. Only molars will not do. It is for 1 mark. So if you have written both of them, then only you get 1 mark. If you have written only premolars or molars, then you will get half mark. What is the function of teeth in humans? Simple. If anybody has written, it helps us to eat our food. Then also I have given you marks. If someone has written, it helps us to chew our food, or it helps us to bite the food or tear the food. All of the grind our food, all of them are correct. But if you have written they help in digestion, okay, I think I have given you marks for that. But they are not directly involved with the digestive process, but yes, they do help to make the food simpler to be digested. So that was that for your solutions. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that your doubts are all clarified.